was scrolling through Facebook today and I got an ad for a directory site, which was very surprising to me because this is the first time I've actually gotten ads for a directory site. So I spent a little time looking over the site, seeing what they're doing, and discovered that they're actually doing some great stuff in terms of promoting their directory site to people. So I thought I would go through what they're doing, show you what they're doing, give you some thoughts on what I think they're not doing right, what I do think they're doing right, and how things could be improved for them. And I think it'll give you some great ideas on how you can grow your own directory websites. As you can see, I've got the Facebook page pulled up here on my Facebook account. It's called mynextwinery.com. Before we really, get into the details here, I do want to jump over to the ads library. You can see here that they are running two different ads. They just started, one started just a few days ago. I'm recording this on October 24th. So one they started on October 21st and one on October 13th. The October 13th ad is the one that I actually got in my feed. You can see here it's just very simple. It's just their logo, a single line here, and then just, learn more, discover local wineries, and plan your next tasting adventure. That's probably actually in the meta description of the actual website. That probably was just, pulled in directly by Facebook. So this was a super low effort ad, which is often the way to go these days when you are running Facebook ads. So this is probably why I got this in my feed. I was looking the other day at a bunch of different wine Facebook pages that are, more like memes, and things like that. So that's probably why I got this particular ad. Like I said, it is very simple. The other ad that they recently started is a video ad. I'm not sure if it is AI or not because I've not seen it large. This day and age, though, I'm going to assume that the answer is yes. I'm also assuming the answer is yes simply because when I look at their website, I think it's easy to see that they use one of these vibe coding tools just from the way that it looks. This is what the website looks like here. I feel like it looks like pretty much every website I've seen that's been vibe coded with the exception that they're using reds and greens instead of the normal blues. And I can say this because I've actually been testing some of these vibe coding tools. And in a moment, we'll look to see if we can see what this is actually built on. But let's hop back to the Facebook page here so we can see that they are running ads. So they're trying to, build their audience on Facebook. They've got 91 followers on the Facebook page here so far. They're building themselves as a local travel website, which I think is interesting. They've got some featured posts up here. We can actually look at the about info to see when they started this page. August 24th, so just a few months old. They've also got a review here, although this looks like, I think I recognize this name as being one of the people who's running this site. Pop back over here to the post. Whenever I see, a business that interests me on Facebook, whether it's a directory site or anything else, like I said, this is the very first directory site I've gotten an ad for. I always like to see if it is a recent business page, and then if it is recent, scroll back, like how did they start? Like that's one of the things I'm always so curious about, what are they doing? So it looks like they launched this page before their site was actually ready. I find that interesting because were they running ads then? I don't know. Their most active ad doesn't go back that far. It goes back only to October 13th. It's possible they were running ads though. Got a simple logo here. Then they took screenshots of their website for people. Then they do this interesting little post here. Basically to let you know like why they made their site. This is something that works really well on Facebook. They actually should have ran this as the ad. If this was my site or if I was advising someone, this is the ad. This is what I would run as my ad because, stories is what sells, right? Stories is what helps people connect to you. And this is a story. I mean, we can tell it was written by ChatGPT because we've got the M dashes and stuff, but it's still a story. And I think this would actually get them more signups and more engagement with their ads if they were running this, as their ad. I don't think they'd quite want the plus 24 pictures, but I do think so this would go over really well as an ad. Then you can see here they're trying to engage with people on the site. They don't really have enough followers for that, but they do have 4 likes. Based on my own experience growing Facebook pages, this could be just friends and family, right? They are tagging wineries that they're going to. This is a great way to get engagement with those wineries, which could lead, to brand deals and things like that. Giving people more information on their website. What else do we have here? It looks like you can create an account and then get your Hall of Fame information. This kind of interactivity on a director site is something I've not seen before, and I really like that. I think they could also kind of gamify this. Like, I know that there's like a beer app, I think it's called On Tap, possibly. I don't really know, I'm not a big beer drinker. But I have friends that use it where basically they're gamifying, having beers in more places and things like that. So that's something that they could probably build into this if they don't have it already. So we can see here that they bought a print ad in a Wine Fest visitor guide. That is super interesting. What I find more interesting looking at this and from a business perspective is, when was this, right? I'd be curious to know what the kind of results were that they got from it. So if whoever's running this site happens to be watching this video, I would love to hear from you. I'm so curious how this worked out for you. It was a great idea. I mean, there's tons of wine festivals, so if that worked, you could continue doing that over and over. More information here about growing their website. It is interesting to me that they are treating this more like a SaaS page, right, where they're updating people on how the build is going. Looks like they did get some, they're sharing that they got some Google Startup Cloud Program credits. So here we are, sponsors at the Northeast Wine Fest. So this was clear, I don't know if it was print and non-print, so we got like a yard sign here. If I was going to sponsor something like this, I would definitely want to make sure I got a link back to my site, right? That is what would make it most valuable. Would probably be a pretty, high authority link, and obviously super high niche relevance. We can see here that they attended wearing branded shirts. So that was a great way for them to get the word out about this particular directory. I've not seen anyone doing anything like this yet with their directory, so super interesting. I really love how they're doing this. Like I said, I would have wanted to make sure I was getting a backlink for that sponsorship. We'll look in Ahrefs momentarily at their backlink profile to see if they indeed got a link or not. Here's that video that they're using as an ad. Like I said, I suspect it is AI, but maybe not. So they have rolled out badges, so they are gamifying, the website, which honestly a great way to go if that's something that you can do. So let's pop over here and look at the website for a moment here. So like I said, I'm pretty sure it's vibe coded. Let's view the page source and then we can probably tell. So yeah, this is Replit, so definitely vibe coded. I've been actually learning a lot about vibe coding with these tools lately because I don't really have much coding experience at all. And what I have learned is that when you are using these vibe coding tools, it doesn't present your website in a format for Google to read that they prefer. Which, obviously you can see that was a super condensed version of this website. We can't even really see what's on the website. And some people are saying that actually hurts you in terms of ranking in the search results. So that is something to think about if you are choosing to vibe code, with one of these AI coding tools, your directory website. And yeah, I mean, I understand why people are doing the vibe coding tools, because, it looks great. Very clean, obviously a lot less work. Looks like I have my location settings turned off, so let's just see what comes up here. Really love the little icon here that's relevant for this. I don't really want to create an account though, so I like that I have the opportunity to browse as a guest. I am in Las Vegas, so let's just go ahead and see if we can update this. I was really expecting that to kind of have a drop down to let me auto-populate. So as it says, there's no wineries in Las Vegas. That is a lie. Living here, I know there are some. So that's interesting to see that clearly when the scraping was done here, didn't really get everything. Where are we zeroing in on here? 'Cause from reading, these people are from Pennsylvania, so let's just zoom in here. I think we've lost our, here we go. Now I would expect if I'm clicking on this that it would take me somewhere, and it is not. So there's clearly a problem with this tool. That is unfortunate since they are paying money for ads, right? Because this is not working. Now could it be because I'm browsing this as a guest? Possibly. It doesn't change the fact that it's not working though. Let's go back to the home here. Let's just view this one on a map and see if it will let us see any information. I still want to browse as a guest. I honestly, I should have checked this before I started recording because I don't think this website is going to really let me see much of anything without creating, okay, here we go. You viewed one winery. I've already used my 3 searches for the day, so I can't continue looking. I assume that that's because they are using the Google Maps API and they don't want to have a very surprising bill from Google. But this seems to be all that comes up for this, which is unfortunate. Let's see if we can view the profile here. Okay, we can. So a decent amount of information, no photos though, which is surprising because those can be scraped from Google Maps. So it's appearing to be kind of a bare bones directory site, right? It's not really, we know they're missing data already because they're not showing the things that are here in Vegas. The profile page, no images showing up for that particular one I looked at. What else is problematic here? When I was trying to click through the map the first time, it just wasn't working. So that's super interesting, something that I would definitely want to fix. And honestly, I'm surprised they didn't check that before they started paying for ads. You have to sign up for free to see what premium is. I'm going to go ahead and pause this real quick and create a free account because I'm curious, how are they making money? I want to see what their premium offering is. So I'm going to cut the video and then I will come right back. Okay, so we can see actually here, login is secured by Replit. I've done some vibe coding with Lovable, and the same kind of branding is on the login pages for it. Like I said, proving this was definitely done with one of these vibe coding tools. I'm just going to go ahead and create an account real quick. Looks like you actually have to sign up for a Replit account, which I was not expecting, so that's kind of odd. So I created my account and it redirects me to Replit. Which is obviously problematic, for the person who owns this directory site, because you are causing some friction in the user experience here. How many people are just gonna, nope the hell out of here and not go back to your site? So that's something else clearly to be aware of when you are using these vibe coding tools. Let's see if this just happened to log me in. It did not. Let's see here. Let's see if I can sign in. So we have to allow it to use the Replit account that I created. So I get 7 searches per day with the free account. Otherwise, I have to upgrade to premium. Like I said, I'm super interested in what premium costs. The free account also lets me save and organize, mark my favorites, rate and review. So this is super interesting because clearly there are a ton more coming up on the map now. Let's see if it's working where it wasn't earlier. Look at that, it's still not working. Okay, now it is. So let's see here if the profile looks any different. This is interesting that we can see hours below it. Oh, it doesn't work either. So we'll click on profile. So it still looks the same. So let's go ahead and see what the premium offer is. So you are allowed to upload your own photos for $20 once. What a cheeky way to get people to give you photos for your website, right? So that's an interesting way to monetize your directory. I don't see this being super profitable. I think this could work, in niches where people are really super passionate. And I know people are passionate about wines. I am passionate about wines, but I would never pay $20 to upload my photos to someone else's website. But, that could just be because, I do make websites and things like that. But I see this being not the right play. Why are we charging the customers versus charging, the wineries for premium listings? So it's an interesting thing that they're doing. I don't think it's the right play. The website, like I said, does have tons of problems going on with it. Let's see what support us goes to. So that just goes to the same thing. It says they're covering the hosting costs themselves. But I mean, we also saw they got like what, $2,000 in Google Cloud credit, so they're not going to be paying for the Google Maps API anytime soon. Oh, they're also doing Buy Me a Coffee, which is curious. So here's somebody who gave some money. We don't know how much, of course. Looks like they have a Patreon as well. So it's an interesting choice, not something I see, for long-term viability of a directory website. I do like, though, what they were doing with, finding the niche events that they can sponsor, which we saw on here somewhere. This, don't like that it's yard signs, essentially, and the in-program QR codes. What I really would want to see is a backlink. So let's pop on over to Ahrefs. Actually, let's look at their Instagram first. I pulled it up. Looks like it's just a copy of the same stuff for the most part that they're doing on Facebook. Not a lot of traction going on here, so now we'll pop over to Ahrefs. I've already put the URL in. They're not getting any traffic right now, though. They are only a couple months old. What is that? Yeah, 2 months old as of today. So that's not terribly surprising. Now, I did want to point out, let me go back here, I am using the free traffic checker that Ahrefs has on their website. If you've never used it before, you do not have to have a paid account with them. I will leave the link for this down below. They have several free SEO tools where you can get data without having to pay for an account. This backlink checker is also one of their free tools. I've already put it in. The domain rating for this site is still 0. We've got spam link, spam link, spam link, spam link, spam link, all spam links. So there are no actual links to them from the wine fest that they sponsored. So I see that as a big failure. Like I said, I would only be sponsoring events if I could get a link from their website. The website would need to have at least some authority. With it being so niche relevant, I wouldn't be hung up about it being super high domain rating or authority score, but I would definitely want something for my money other than just traffic to my site, because once this event is over, it's over, right? And you're not going to get any more traffic or any other benefits from that. That's why I think it's so important, if you're going to find events that you can sponsor, that you are getting that backlink. You can even do something like go to meetup.com, find people who are having wine meetups, offer to sponsor maybe snacks for them or something, so that you get that link, from the meetup page. It's a very high authority link that will go to your website. But it doesn't have to be meetup.com. It can be any type of event that is relevant to your site that you can get that backlink from. Otherwise, though, like I said, there are a lot of things that they're doing that I really like the gamifying it here with the badges, things like that. But the website, since it was a vibe coded, it just has too many issues right now, I think, to consider even paying for the ads. And they are paying for ads, and that is unfortunate. I may try to reach out to them to let them know that basically parts of their site are not working. But what I do think, though, is it is interesting to see someone who is building a directory site and is going about promoting it basically a different way than we see most people. They're not just building a site and waiting on Google to find it and rank it and get traffic. They're being very proactive, sponsoring events, running these ads and things like that. And that kind of, thinking outside the box is not really the norm that people are doing. That's one of the ways that you're going to be able to beat, and build a moat around your directory site. So in that respect, I do really like what they are trying to do here. And it's definitely a site that I want to keep an eye on, in the next few months to see how it goes, to see if it does, get some traction or not. If you have any questions about this, feel free to drop me a comment below and let me know. Or if you have a directory site that you want me to, record a video on, I'm happy to do that as well. Unless there's nothing that I can offer you that would be beneficial, that would probably be the only reason that I wouldn't do it. But yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know. Thanks for watching.